So let's talk about your final project, which, by the way, is also your final exam and the requirements that are necessary. All right, so for this personal project, you're going to be selecting a fine art photographer and creating a project that is inspired by their work. So, studying past artists is a great way of learning how to think differently and seeing through someone else's eyes. On top of that, I'm specifically asking you guys to pick a fine art photographer because there's usually a deeper reason behind why they're creating their work. It's not just to make a beautiful image, but it's often questioning something or adding some more personal emotion to the work. So you are going to be basically picking one fine art photographer. You're going to be picking one of their images to analyze with a paper, and then you're going to be creating an image inspired by their work. And for this, you're going to either be, maybe it's going to be about technique. Maybe it's going to be looking at their lighting and their composition and applying that to your own photograph. You're going to be looking at all those things and analyzing those things, but for your actual photo, it might not be about composition. It might be about the deeper thought process and applying that deeper thought process to imagery in your life. So let's go into these two parts of the assignment. So basically we have two parts. You're going to have a paper that you're writing, which is going to be due this week, and then you're going to have the actual photo that you'll be turning in. So the first step you need to take before you start writing your paper is to watch my lectures on fine art photography. I'm going to expose you guys to all kinds of different photographers, from the beginning of photography to the somewhat present. And so you're going to have lots of different images to look at and to pick from. Now, you don't have to pick a specific image from the lecture. You can say, if you like Ansel Adams, you don't have to pick his specific image, but you can look through all of his images and pick another one of his images that's not in the lecture. That's fine. Now, as you watch my lectures, pay attention to what artists and movements speak to you. And what I mean by speak to you is pay attention to your emotions. As you're seeing these images, how are you feeling? Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling happy? Are you delighted? Do you feel sad? If you have an emotional response to something, then you're going to have a easier time creating work off of something that you feel something about. Now, you are going to, again, pick one fine art photograph to write your paper on. And there are more requirements on the exact assignment page where I actually walk you through writing this. I know some of you guys, this might be your first semester here at Fresno City College, and so I want to make sure that you're not lost in this process. Now, in your paper, you're going to describe and interpret the image. And this is going to help you figure out how to proceed with your project. Instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to pick Ansel Adams and then say, okay, now how the heck do I make an image like Ansel Adams? This paper is going to help you slow down, really look at the image, and then be able to take what you've learned and apply it to your photos. And optional, you may want to download the photo project planner from a couple of projects ago to help you get organized. Now, for the actual photograph, you're going to turn in one excellent photograph inspired by your chosen artist. So this is your final project. I'm expecting you to put it all in there. I want to see what you learned over the semester and that you were able to apply what you've learned to this project. So if you have to reshoot 5 times, so be it. If you have to edit a couple different versions and then try to figure out which one is going to communicate the best, that might be part of what you need to do. But I'm expecting you guys to put in a whole lot of work into this image. Don't just shoot an image and be done with it. I want to see that you're actually thinking thoroughly about what you're shooting and applying what you've learned. So that means that your image better have an effective angle. You better have great lighting that enhances the communication of the photo. Shooting in manual mode is necessary, and you must have a proper exposure. That means, your exposure shouldn't have any blown out areas. It shouldn't be so dark that we can't see the subject, or there's areas that go completely into black. You need to show me that you can use your camera and the exposure controls to create the imagery that you want. Use exposure controls creatively. Now, this is going to differ on every single, person's project. But what I mean by this is, let's go back to my Ansel Adams example. If you look into him, you're going to see that he uses a pretty specific aperture setting. And so you're going to be using as close to of an aperture setting as he is to create an image that's similar. And of course, creating unified compositions. No distracting backgrounds, nothing weird going on. We want to make sure that our compositions are tight, that they look great, that they are helping communicate through the image and not distracting from the subject of the image. Yes, the image must be edited, and it's up to you whether it's color or black and white. Again, this is going to depend on the photographer you choose. Must be shot specifically for this project, no old files. Now, this goes for the entire semester, but I'm just going to say it again because there's going to be absolutely no redos for this project. It's your final. Once you turn it in, it's done. So don't use an old file. If you took a photo in the past and you're like, wow, that kind of fits in, reshoot it. Reshoot it and apply what you've learned, okay? And when you turn in, now you're going to be turning in your paper, but when you turn in your photo, I also want you to turn in a short written statement that tells me the artist and the photograph you're inspired. And this is really just so I don't have to be looking at people's papers on one side and, and the photo on the other. I want it all in one package. So you are going to, turn in a short paragraph that tells me what the point of the project was, who you were shooting or who you were studying. All right, guys. So again, just to reiterate, this is your final exam. So I'm expecting these images to be top of the line, beautiful images. I've been really impressed with your guys' work so far this semester, so I have no doubts that you're going to deliver.